Midwest Furfest, also commonly known as Furfest or just MFF, is a furry convention held annually in Rosemont, Illinois. And this year I packed my bags once again and headed over to this con, celebrating its 25th anniversary year. It's actually crazy to think that MFF not always been around for that long, but began as a furry track for DuckCon 3 in 1994, which is a Chicago-based science fiction convention, until they officially broke off and did their own thing and became Midwest Furry Fandom Incorporated in 2000. Now, fast forward back to present day, this year was held on December 5th through 8th of 2024 at the Donald E. Stevens Convention Center in Rosemont, Illinois, headed by the con chair Duncan DeHusky. The theme this year was the Great Furfest Heist, and the guest of honors included Nordeva, Blind Coyote, and the Trio Menagerie. Attendance grew yet again, up a surprising 8.1%, making the total count of 16,800 attendees. This marks MFF as the second largest furry convention in the world, Anthrocon being the first. Now, outside of its impressive attendance numbers, this year they managed to raise $136,000 for the Street Dog Coalition, a charity that produces free veterinary care to pets of people experiencing or at risk of homelessness. Now that we tackled some of the insights on MFF, you are probably interested in attending this convention, but not sure where to start. So let's break down what traveling in and around the convention is like for its attendees. First off, the good news is that since MFF is located in Rosemont, Illinois, it is right next to the Chicago O'Hare International Airport. The reason why this is so great for attendees is because ORD is quite an accessible airport for both domestic and international travelers, being the fourth busiest airport in the US and one of the top 5 airports for domestic connectivity. On top of that, the main hotel is just 5 minutes from the O'Hare International Airport, making it super easy to friends to pick you up or grab a quick Uber if necessary. Now, if you don't want to grab an Uber or have a friend pick you up, no problem, because the main hotel and additional convention block hotels have free complimentary shuttle services to and from the airport. Additionally, the airport is also steps away from the Chicago CTA Blue Line for those that are making use of the transit system. You can also take advantage of a combination of the CTA buses and train services leading into Chicago and the MFF Hotel if you come from other areas or cities within the state. Driving to the con instead? You're in luck, because there are convenient parking options at the main hotel, including 5 floor cover parking and an outdoor lot with Tesla electric vehicle charging stations. I will note though that this doesn't allow parking for RVs or trailers. This year, the self parking at the Complock hotels overall wasn't too bad price-wise, ranging from $5 a day up to $18 a day. Okay, this sounds all good so far, Coda, but what if you're not staying at the main hotel? Well, you have a few options regarding what hotel you're staying at in terms of getting around the convention. First, I want to talk about the MFF transit system, a complimentary shuttle service for attendees in hotels not connected by the Sky Bridge. All routes begin and end at the Donald E. Stevens Convention Center and operate for most of the day until late at night. To elevate this experience, MFF introduced something new and exciting this year, which is offering real-time tracking for their shuttle network, making your getaway from one event to the next as smooth as possible. All you have to do is track their blue, red, and green line buses in real time by clicking the button on their website. The blue and red lines all also feature 2 wheelchair-accessible buses clearly marked on the tracking software, ensuring everyone can be a part of the action. With this feature, you can monitor shuttle locations and plan your next move with precision. Outside the shuttle services, we have the infamous Sky Bridge amongst congoers, which you can walk through it if staying at one of the connected hotels. But it can be very cramped and take a long time to walk through, especially during high traffic times. Plus, it's usually either too hot or too cold depending on what part of the Sky Bridge you are walking through. Now, we lucked out this year because the weather was amazing. It was cold but not insanely cold like previous years, and the sunny 90% of the time, so it made working outside a pleasant option between the hotels and convention centers. And lastly, being it's a massive convention and spread out, you might be worried about finding out where everything is located. But thankfully, MFF has us covered with an interactive convention map on the MFF website, so you can easily map out where everything is at the convention center, from locations, name of the panel rooms, con run amenities, and more. Now that you have a better understanding of what it's like traveling in and around the con, you're probably wondering how the hotel accommodations are and the process of procuring one. Well, sadly, I'd love to say this year was better than the last, but I would be lying when it comes to trying to get a hotel room for MFF. The room lottery is still a pain in the tail, leaving the experiences less to be desired. I personally don't remember the last time I got mean, and I honestly have tried several options, from picking suites, teaming up with roommates, and trying all room choices. And with the con attendance growing, it makes the odds even harder. However, there are options outside the main hotel, which I'll go into more detail. So MFF has one main hotel, which is the Hyatt Regency O'Hare, followed by 10 additional hotels under the con block. On top of that, there are several hotels that are much closer and accessible if you are staying outside of the con block, like the Hilton and Embassy for example. However, they will cost you a fair amount of money, so not really a money saver or option for many. In the main hotel, there are 1,095 rooms, including a variety of 42 suites. There are 3 main floor areas for furs to lounge and suit around in, and a very open area leading up to the hotel rooms. The rooms at the main hotel are nice, and the variety of suites are known to be fairly big in size, able to accommodate large parties and gatherings. Like the biggest suite, the VIP suite, it's a whopping 1,660 square feet, 2 bedrooms and 2 parlors, 3 bathrooms, a full wet bar, and can sleep up to 8 people. The elevator situation was the same as last year, in that you have to go to the bottom floor and wait in the lines that they set up to manage the flow of traffic. It does work and helps prevent attendees from cutting in front of the line and also riding the elevator down to go up. The suite elevators were fine too, with some moments of peak traffic, but overall went smoothly. So overall, it is a manageable from my personal experience this year, especially with the increased attendance. Now, as I mentioned, I didn't get into the main hotel nor any of the con block hotels, so I ended up getting a room at the Hilton Rosemont Chicago O'Hare. Honestly, compared to last year, I say this hotel went a bit downhill in terms of price, accommodations, and overall experience. Plus, I don't really have many good things to say about the hotel, given their attempts to purposely gouge money out of us. The rooms we stayed in were small and outdated, not offering anything to write home about. They said the rooms were pump in and pump out, meaning that though there was a thermostat in the room, you can't adjust the temperature. So if it's uncomfortable in our room, you're just shit out of luck. They purposely didn't have a mini fridge in the hotel room, and if you wanted one, you had to request it, and they charged you an additional $25 a day to have it in your room. I shit you not, you could buy a mini fridge from Walmart, Target, and even Amazon for the con, just abandon it in the room, and it would be half the cost the hotel charged me. The only positive I would give about this hotel is that the shower pressure was great, the hotel elevators were barren, meaning I never waited more than a minute for one, and it's the closest one to the Sky Bridge to the main hotel and the convention spaces, including walking from the outside. In the end, they charged us from Wednesday to Monday a total of $2,048.16, plus an additional $125 for the mini fridge and the 4 p.m. checkout. Again, this is for a purposely inflated, overpriced, not so amazing room with non-adjustable thermostat and charges for additional amenities. Now, outside getting settled with your hotel accommodations, most are curious what the current situation is when it comes to procuring food and drinks. I mean, you gotta eat. Well, let me start off by saying MFF is never known to be the top of the list for convenience and bountiful food and drink options. However, I will note that this year it felt like they put more effort in providing food options and in locations in and around the main hotel and convention center. So it felt it wasn't as hard getting food, especially for on the go. Let's start off with the main hotel, which has the Perks and Perks to Go, which feature Starbucks coffee along with fresh, healthy items to grab while on the go. The Red Bar and Lounge in the lobby features pub fare, appetizers, and comfort food classics with an array of booze options. Though it opens at 4 p.m. and it gets super busy right away until it closes. It's a popular hangout for many furs, so you can see what's going on in the lobby, depending on where you're sitting for more sociability. Want something in the morning? Well, the OH American Grill has an expansive breakfast buffet, but it only opens for a limited time between 6 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. Right outside the main hotel, the food trucks are back, which included Kate and Jane's hot dogs, a nice option for food, especially in the later parts of the evening and night. Now, moving along in and around the dealer's den, you have few options for food, which include kiosks selling mac and cheese, sushi and poke bowls, tacos, nothing bunk cakes, and a bar selling a variety of sandwiches, foods, and alcoholic drinks, and a food station selling burgers, fries, chicken fingers, and more. If you crave something different and are willing to walk 15 minutes from the main hotel, you can hit up the food court over at the Fashion Outlets of Chicago. They have a decent variety of food in the mall and shopping if interested in that. Plus, the con shuttle bus makes a stop there easier if you don't want to walk. Booze isn't convenient outside the typical expensive bar options with the long waits. The best bet is to Uber to Target or the liquor store next to the 7-Eleven to get your party drinks for the con. I personally hit up the Targets to grab beers and needed food and hydration items for the room. And for those that are asking, yes, you can buy beer and hard liquor in Targets. Okay, so we're now settled into our hotel room and figured out plans for food and supplies. Now comes the fun parts, which is picking up your con badge at registration and then exploring all the wonders that the con has to offer. Well, I am very happy and excited to say that MFF did not lose their working formula from last year when it came to registration. At their peak, registration speeds were almost 1,900 people in an hour. Average line time, 38 minutes. Amazing work again, and shows that it can be done, so other cons don't really have much of an excuse. So every con, I look forward to checking out all the artistry, products, and works done by our community. This year, MFF had the options of exploring both the Dealer's Den and Artist Alley with the implementation of a new system. So the Dealer's Den is located on the second floor of the convention center, and it is a super huge space with aisles listed from A to P. The P section was reserved for the adult annex. There is so much to see and explore that you can get lost very easily if you aren't paying attention. My friends yet again had live locations on to track each other down. Now head over to the lower first floor to check out the Artist Alley. The alley is a free space for artists to interact with attendees, take commissions, and work on art. To participate in the alley, you must be capable of and actively working on original artwork while seated at the table. It is available to anyone and everyone attending the convention for the weekend. This year, MFF did implement the Artist Marketplace, which is a subsection of the Artist Alley where artists who want to forgo the uncertainty of a daily lottery at the convention can pay for a guaranteed seat for the weekend. However, these spots were limited, and artists can participate by filling out the application when it was posted. Now, what is different for me this year is that I participated in the Dealer's Den, working at one of the tables. It was a very cool experience, getting to interact with all the attendees and converse with fellow vendors. I will note that what I found better this year was the flow of certain sections of the Dealer's Den, especially the Artist Annex, which was better spaced out and ample room to browse. A new thing though that MFF adopted this year for the first time was BLFC's Dealer's Den time entry system. A time entry system offers several advantages, enhancing the overall convention experience for attendees. By eliminating the need to arrive hours earlier to secure a spot in line, attendees can allocate more time to explore other con activities, maximizing their enjoyment. Additionally, time entry helps to mitigate overcrowding with the Dealer's Den throughout the day, creating a more comfortable and enjoyable shopping experience for all. And as the convention continues to grow in popularity, time entry becomes increasingly crucial to ensure the safety and comfort of all the attendees, particularly considering the limited space available within the venue. It's important to note that the time entry is only required for the first 4 hours of the Dealer's Den. Now, I personally note that getting your slot for time entry was confusing in ways after getting your registration, mostly due to the lack of on-site advice, and prior advertising wasn't done as well as it should have been. MFF just needs to fix this aspect for better success in the future. On the panel side of things, I didn't really get to attend as many as I did last year. This is mostly due to being really busy throughout the day. But I will say overall, there wasn't really much that stood out to me personally as a must attend. Actually, MFF even lost some notable interactive panels and experiences like Furry Gateway, something that was truly missed between attendees and those in the VR scape. It's a shame because it feels MFF isn't really innovating and moving forward in some of these areas, a problem they continually seem to not address. I was able to attend the VR chat panel meetup though, which again was a lot of fun and absolutely packed to the brim. Again, for such a heavily attended meetup, you would think the con would include some more events and panels in this interest. Overall, there are a lot of panels with a multiple of interest to attend, so as an attendee, you could definitely find something that interests you. Moving on to some of my favorite events, we come to the Fursuit Dance Comp and Floor Wars. These two events are always a sight to see with the caliber of talent that will leave you wanting more. Just like last year, the Fursuit Dance Comp performed on a massive, well-lit stage risen above the ground, making it super ideal for the dancers to perform on and attendees to watch it all no matter where you're sitting. Floor Wars utilized the main stage's huge ground-level dance floor to the fullest, giving a great space for the dancers to battle it out to their heart's content without any obstructions. You could watch from any angle, especially with the help of the big screen projections on both sides. Again, such amazing talent. So congrats to everyone that performed this year. Maybe one day I too will be able to grace the stage and perform. Another year, another amazing DJ performances for the dances. Now, the dances were busting at the seams each night. So much so, all I could see is a wave of people in fursuits no matter where I turned. Which does say a lot because it's a huge ash main stage room. And the energy on the dance floor really draws you in, along with the fantastic lighting and atmosphere run by the con staff. Now, the bag policy, which I talked about a bit in detail last year in regards to the dances, I'm not a fan of because I find it a bit excessive. I've been to many cons around the world that don't have an issue with bags. Again, small bags will be searched, larger bags have to be transparent, and if you don't want to leave them outside the dance floor door, You can put them in the lockers located outside the main stage dance area. Now, maybe dancing isn't your style, but partying with friends is. Well, you're in luck since MFF has been considered the party con over the years, ranging from chill vibes to more on the fun and adventurous side. And having the VIP and large suites in the executive wing area on the main hotel, you have plenty of space to host some lit-ass parties. There are also several great spaces and suites in other hotels as well, but I'm not really sure about the noise control. I attended several parties this year with a variety of themes, and I had a blast at each and every one of them. My friends even snagged a suite on Wednesday just to host a fun get-together with everyone. There are some parties that are invite-only, especially to help with crowd control, so knowing someone who has a pulse on the party scene at a con is a plus. So in conclusion, what is my overall opinion of this year's MFF? Well, honestly, it's a con like every other con. MFF to me used to be the must-go con, but over the last few years, it has been replaced with other cons that are really innovating and pushing forward, like FWA and Megaplex for example. They are still stuck on this rinse and repeating the same thing over and over again, which I suggested they strive not to do in my last year's video. However, one cool positive I did want to note is the con managed to get a lot of the action moving out of the Hyatt and into the convention center. This extension of the con made the con feel less crunched up, but also made non-main hotels seem a more acceptable option. So, for many of those that were traditionally main or bust when it comes to attending MFF, this might change your perspective and something to worth keeping in consideration. Otherwise, overall it is a fun con, with a strong proponent on the social and party side of things. And when the weather is not horrible, it makes for some great fursuiting, especially with the outside front entrance area of the hotel where you can catch that nice colder breeze. Definitely a con to check out if you haven't attended yet, though for some, it might not be the best suggestion as your first furry convention experience, unless you thrive in the higher energy environments and very large crowds. I love these environments for me personally, so I'm right at home. To wrap this up, if you have attended this con, I would love to know your experiences this year and in the past, so don't forget to comment below. And speaking of not forgetting, if you haven't already, slam that like, follow, subscribe button to keep up to date with future videos and support this orange doggo. Till next time, stay awesome.